Have you ever wondered why crime rates are soaring in countries often labeled as Christian? Prisons are brimming with inmates, many of whom identify as Christian. Fear of becoming a victim of crime keeps people indoors after dark. This trend isn't new. Data from as far back as 2013 suggests that Protestants and Catholics made up more than half of the U.S. federal prison population. Let's rewind a few decades to the 80s. Living together before marriage, extramarital affairs, and homosexuality were generally looked upon with shame. Divorce, too, was a source of embarrassment. Fast forward to today, and these things have become commonplace. Divorce rates are skyrocketing even within the church. Acts once considered immoral are now seen regularly. Now let's juxtapose this with the societal conditions during the time of the prophet Malachi. He lived in a time similar to ours. God used Malachi to rebuke priests who were leading the people astray, and men who were breaking their marriage vows. The Bible says, "For the lips of a priest should guard knowledge, and people should seek instruction from his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. But you have turned aside from the way. You have caused many to stumble by your instruction. And so guard yourselves in your spirit, and do not be faithless." The state of a society is often a reflection of its spiritual leaders. If the leaders are corrupt, it's likely the society will follow suit. The more priests there were, the more corruption there was. The religious education system represented by the priests was failing, leading to a breakdown in societal values and cultural direction. Why does an increase in the number of priests lead to more corruption? Some suggest it's due to the bystander effect. In a public place, the responsibility for an incident is diffused among all present. If there are more people around when a crime is committed, the likelihood that any one person will intervene decreases. Similarly, when there are more religious leaders, the responsibility for addressing societal issues becomes diluted. Everyone looks to someone else to step in. The risk of taking action and the diffusion of personal responsibility often results in the issue being ignored. Others suggest it's due to groupthink. If no one takes action when a problem arises, individuals are likely to follow the group's inaction. This is a social psychological phenomenon where individuals conform to group pressure and change their attitudes and behaviors. However, in the face of pure faith, any psychological theory seems irrelevant. The Bible says, "You who love the Lord hate evil, and take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them, for it is shameful even to speak of the things that they do in secret." In conclusion, the rise in crime rates in so-called Christian countries can be attributed to a shift in societal values, an increase in the number of religious leaders leading to a diffusion of responsibility, and the conformity to group inaction. As we've seen, these conditions mirror those of the time of Prophet Malachi. The need for a return to biblical principles is clear. Just as in Malachi's time, God calls for a return to faithfulness and a rejection of evil.